I'm Tony Uddin, and I pastor Tower Hamlets Community Church in East London, as well as being a part of the 3D team. And I'm here today with John Onelum, and John is a fantastic thinker. He's coming to the end of his PhD and also leads Hamden Chapel, just up the road from us in East London as well. And John, I guess we've kind of been in the same neighborhood, but actually got to know each other properly on a mission trip in India, didn't we, when we were visiting some church planting works. And it's just an example then, I guess, of how actually missional connection really helps us to forge relationships, doesn't it?
It is a wonderful example of it. And I remember that mission trip and how it was really a faith-building sort of experience for me. And, had the opportunity to build fellowship and build relationship with other ministers. And also just the experience of preaching. I think we preached for about, twice a day for over 10 days, something like that. That really built my faith. I remember coming back from that trip and speaking at our church. And, the people in church really felt that there was something that changed in my faith and in the preaching. And it really had a positive impact in the life of the church. Really encourage, ministers to, go on mission trips, certainly for the fellowship and also the faith building experience. I think it's really valuable.
And there's definitely a really positive impact on the local church as leaders, as we get exposed to different contexts, seeing God at work in different places and bringing some of that back into our local church. I really like that. So John, where we are in East London really is at the forefront of social change. Hackney and Tower Hamlets, two of the fastest growing boroughs in the country, population-wise, also places of enormous and really quick social change. We're really at the forefront of all that. And that provides some great opportunities for mission, but also some challenges as well. And can you let us into a little bit of your thinking about how do you help to equip your people at Hamden Chapel to engage confidently with the local community with a missional mindset?
I think that's a brilliant question. And how, I've chosen to go about it is through, firstly, education. Creating opportunities for our people to be exposed to a number of mission-based organizations that are, actively engaged in addressing social issues in Hackney and indeed around the world. And the other thing that I also think is important is about modeling that as a pastor. And so what we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks is hosting a public engagement event where we've invited a number of mission-based organizations, both here and who address mission issues across the world. So we've got the likes of CAP, Christians Against Poverty, the Center for Community and Theology are going to be involved, and Sanctuary Foundation, who do a lot of work with Ukraine and the refugee crisis there. And so it's about creating a forum whereby these organizations can share about what they're doing, inform our churches, and also create an opportunity for people to connect and engage and also, sign up to some of the work that they're doing to help address issues in Hackney and beyond.
Now, one of the things I've been really struck by as we've spoken is your approach to working with others. So, if we look at Acts 18, Paul is spoken to by God. He's in the midst of discouragement, and God just says, I have many people in this city. And we've talked about the idea of an ecumenical approach to mission. Do you want to just unpack a little bit of that with us?
Yeah, we have. And, I sort of function off the basis of, this idea of social capital, this notion that, our relationships can actually help us to be more effective, and we don't have to sometimes do things on our own. And so I've sort of coined a phrase, sort of ecumenical capital, and that is drawing on the relationships that we have with other churches that are like-minded in our community. And that's something I feel very strongly about, because what that means is, although we're not able to do a number of, mission and outreach-based activities that could really help people in Hackney, I recognize there are other churches that we're in relationship with that do that and do it very well and are well-resourced to actually do it. And so I really try and promote celebrating what other churches are doing, looking at things through the lens of being part of the wider body of Christ, And, and if the Salvation Army down the road, who's got a charity shop, if they're able to connect with the local community to help people, then that's great. We celebrate in their victory. And so what it also allows us to do is really think about what is our niche? What has God called us to do in this area, in this community, instead of reinventing the wheel and wasting resources trying to do something that other churches might be better equipped to do. And so it's thinking more holistically and relationally in our local context to address the social issues there.
And I'm loving that sort of kingdom mentality that says we don't need to own everything, but we work collaboratively. And I think particularly post-COVID, where actually people are a bit nervous and people now are saying they're pretty exhausted, it actually frees us up to be able to say to somebody who says, look, I've got a vision for this. Well, these guys are doing that. We'd love you to go and support them.
Absolutely.
Rather than feel like we need to do that ourselves. That's going to equip mission far better in the long term, isn't it?
It does indeed. And it's just also as a pastor, and we don't have a large congregation, but it just gives me a sense of security and peace, knowing that I'm working collaboratively with other churches to address the issues in our pasture, as it were. And, their win is my win is theirs. And that philosophy of ministry, if you like, is very liberating.
Yeah. Now, that kind of brings me on to something else we've talked about, which is some of your shift in thinking about actually what even is the nature of mission. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Yes. I think one of the things that's really come to the fore in our ministry at the moment is this idea of reaching out to people sort of within the church. And by that I mean, you have different tenses and senses of, people being saved in the New Testament. You've got the sense of people saved in the past, and you've got the sense that people are being saved, and you've got the sense that people will be saved. And I've become more interested, amongst other things, in this idea of people being saved. In addition to that, it's because we've had recently a number of people come in to our church who are seeking refuge. They've come in from other churches that have been problematic, to put it mildly, and they see in our church a place where they can be helped, where they can, be refreshed and have a fresh start. And I've realized there's a mission work to those who are being saved that we need to be cognizant of and also be prepared and equipped to actually address. And so, it's to that constituent within the church that I'm also attuned to now, those who are being saved, as it were.
And that's really relevant, isn't it? Because it doesn't just necessarily mean people coming in from an extreme church, but also we're finding particularly people in their 20s and 30s often going on a journey of deconstruction.
Absolutely.
And then what does that mean then for us as local churches to see those people not as a danger just or as a threat, but as people that actually are going to need a hand, sometimes a lifeline, sometimes an encouragement, and providing a safe space where we can actually help them on their journey. I like that idea.
Yeah, and all the while it's also about being sensitive to, their situation as well. We don't, speak pejoratively about this particular group, and we want to always treat people with respect and love and care. And I'm also particularly interested in this group because it's also been my experience, to undergo, being in problematic situations and needing help. And I suppose that's probably why I'm kind of attuned to that need within the broader definition of mission.
John, thank you for your time. This is really, really important. And spending time with you always helps to expand my thinking. So appreciate your time.
Great. Thank you, Tony.